Hello, welcome to the PhoneWord Workshops event on Wednesday, July the 20th, 2016. We're starting a bit late. It's about 20 after the hour. I apologize for that. And just as a reminder, the PhoneWord Workshops events are held on the second Wednesday and the third Wednesday of each month. On the second Wednesday, it starts at 5 p.m. Eastern. And on the third Wednesday, it's 11 a.m. Eastern. So this is the third Wednesday of July, and normally we start at 11 a.m. Eastern. So today we're going to take a look at some events that are happening in Europe, which is the IETF, the Internet Engineering Task Force meeting number 96, and that's happening in Berlin this week. And we're going to look at some two of the working groups that are happening and what they're up to, and take a look at some items that are just being released. So let's do a little screen sharing. And this is the IETF meeting agenda, which hopefully you can see the URL up here. If you go to ietf.org/meeting agenda, you should be able to find this. But the first working group we're going to talk about is the Secure Telephone Identity Revisited, or STIR. And the intention, oops, sorry about that. The intention of this group is to, I'm going to try to, it's a little larger so it's easier to see. This is their agenda, which was to review the IETF STIR RFC and an item called Passport and STIR certificates. And we're going to take a look at those presentations in just a moment. But this happened on Tuesday, yesterday afternoon in Berlin. So let's go right into the administrative presentation. And this details some of the rules and agenda for the STIR session at IETF 96. This is the presentation regarding their RFC and talking about that they've basically created a, I guess it's been an approved RFC, and here it's talking about some of the details of what they're proposing for the Secure Identity Revisited associated with telephone numbers. And this is a huge issue for multiple reasons. So that is a presentation by John Peterson, I believe, of Newstar. Then this is a presentation on Passport from Chris Wendt, who I believe is with Comcast. And it's talking about, well, this is actually new to me, so I haven't really studied this, but identity associated with telephone numbers, again, is a huge issue. And there's a lot of issues that are happening, a lot of complaints that are happening with the Federal Communications Commission regarding the gap in authenticated identity around telephone numbers. Then this is the proposal, part of the proposal, which is using certificates, and this is basically what's being proposed regarding, I assume these are certificate authorities that would be providing the authentication around telephone numbers in the future. So let's move on to the Modern Working Group, which they had their meeting today, actually within the last few hours, I believe. And they're talking about how will telephone numbers in the future be managed, ordered, distributed, exposed and registering telephone numbers. So let's take a look at their agenda, which this was presented apparently by John Peterson. By the way, you can see the video recordings of these if you go back to the ITF 96 page and look down the agenda. And one of the options over on the right-hand side is to watch the, I believe it's Meet Echo session. So it looks like the modern problem framework is now a working group item. And there's, let's see, they made a few tweaks to the wording. Terry is telephone-related information, and this is a proposal that's been outstanding for some time. And this is a picture of their architecture that they're talking about, basically a client server, and I believe registry architecture. And so here is a key item where they've added registrars to the architecture: numbering authorities, registries, registrars, communication service providers, users, and then government entities are sort of the actors that are being proposed within the modern working group. So now they're starting to, looks like they're starting to detail some of the protocol that they're planning on creating. And here are some of the details on that. So, and this is a chart of another part of the architecture. So I have not watched the video of this session, but let's go on to the next item, which is called DRIP, which stands for a distributed registry protocol, I believe. And it's a protocol for sharing registry type of information between interconnected nodes across a network. And they're using a gossip protocol. So this is basically what is being proposed for the registry architecture in a distributed registry fashion. And all right, so that pretty well concludes what happened in Berlin this week at the ITF 96. And I think it's important to keep an eye on this. It looks like this is moving forward, and there is a direction for both the STIR and the modern working groups. However, this is the approach, in my view, could be approached via something called the blockchain, which is a distributed ledger, peer-to-peer architecture. And if you're interested, this has been talked about at desertblockchain.com. I recommend you take a look at that. And there will be some events coming up next week. On July the 27th, Wednesday night, will be the monthly meetup for an hour and a half. And then on Saturday, the 30th of July, there will be a day-long session. Both of these will occur at Gangplank Chandler. And you can follow along. These sessions are recorded at desertblockchain.com. So you might want to take a look at that as an approach to addressing as part of the mix of what's possible with blockchain as well as the emerging crypto economy, and see what an alternative approach might look like for both identity management as well as addressing. So that pretty well concludes today. Here is the PhoneWord Workshop site. You can go to the workshop tab over here and follow along. The next session will be on the second Wednesday of August, August the 10th at 5 p.m. Eastern. I invite you to tune in at that time and follow along. So I'm going to stop the screen share and wrap it up for today. So thank you for your time and attention. I hope this information has been useful for you. Please feel free to contact me, Jay Carpenter. You can go to the contact tab at PhoneWordWorkshops.com and you'll find my contact information there. Thank you for your attention, and please let me know if you have any questions or topics you'd like to be covered in the future. Goodbye.